Hey guys, Merry late Christmas, Happy late New Year. Sorry, I haven't been uploading very frequently. I was gonna upload a couple videos, but I got hit with the booga flu at the beginning of December, and it took me a while to recover from that. And just after Christmas, I got hit with the normal flu. So I've had a bit of a ringer, but I'd say I'm completely protected from anything out there now. So I'm good now. So this here is, some people might say, oh, don't show your goods on the internet. Don't show your, okay. That's why you have, you obviously have some you show and some you don't. Don't show everything you have, but show the stuff that you think would be beneficial for people to know about. And this is one of those rifles. So Great Lakes Firearms was very generous in helping me fix this rifle. And I'm sure many of you were like, oh, he was going to say generous in providing. No, fixing. I bought this at a gun show up here. Let's see, about beginning of 2021, and in about February is when I picked it up. So it's been about a full year that I've had this rifle, and a lot has changed on it since I bought it, and for good reason too. So I've had a couple issues with this rifle. When I first initially bought it, I had quite a bit of reliability issues.
All right, so every time on the left side of the magazine, this is the magazine that came with the gun. I just bought this today. We have this thing jam up, feeding in. It always rides over the top of the case and jams in there like that. I don't know if it's the feed angle of the ramp or what's going on, but it's consistent and it's every time.
It's always on the left side.
Yes, so feeding from the left and always jams up like that. First time I shot it at a double feed, which, that's excusable break-in time. But after that, it's been consistently jamming up on the left side. Again.
And before I forget to mention, I finally found my pictures from the old bolt, where I took pictures of the face of the bolt and the side. It had excessive wear, so I made sure to document that. I would have to assume that that bolt was out of tolerance, and maybe it was too large, maybe something wasn't removed. I'm not sure, but that bolt essentially had imperfections on it that was causing it to get peened as it was going into the extension, essentially the barrel extension. So I just kind of wanted to throw this in here last minute before I forgot. So there you go. I just bought this as a cheap backup. I wanted to try a local manufacturer to my area, which I'm sure you guys can look up where they're at, figure out where I'm located. But so I'm within driving distance. I won't say where I live, but I'm within driving distance. Not easy driving distance, but fair by traveling standards. So I gave them a message and they said, hey, come on up. So I did. I went up there. I had them check it out, look it over. They said there's nothing wrong. They ran a different magazine through it. They gave me the magazine that they used and kept the old one, which I should ask them for me to have that just for testing purposes, because I'll get into that in a minute. So I took that, grabbed the rifle, took the magazine that they gave me with the gun after they inspected it, and I took it home. So I got home and I started shooting it, and I was still having some inconsistent reliability, and it would always jam on the left round, always. Now it had gotten a little better, but it was not perfect. There's still some slight issues I had with this rifle in the reliability department. So, I mean, people are probably gonna go, oh, you used a thermold? No. Okay, I used a thermold, but that was purely for testing purposes. I have never had any problems with the 30 round thermold magazines. However, I've had problems with their shorter magazines for reliability. I'm just throwing that out there. But I did use a 30 rounder on this that I haven't had any reliability issues with in any other firearms. It was jamming. I used an Amend 2 magazine, which I have plenty of. I used that. It was jamming. And this is, you know, this magazine has worked in plenty of other rifles, friends' rifles, my rifles. You know, they work. So I took it back to them, had them look it over. They replaced the bolt. They gave me a whole new bolt carrier and bolt. I put that all in there. It runs fine now. However, it runs fine now, and my go gauge goes in and my no-go gauge goes in. So I need to get a field gauge and check it, but I don't see any issue. I don't see any issues or indications on the case that it is out of headspace, so it should be fine. But again, this is, you know, they probably outsource a lot of their bolts and stuff like that. They make their receivers and the handguards in-house. I know they do their flash hiders, well, not flash hiders, more of a muzzle brake. I am not trying to slander Great Lakes Firearms. I am not trying to defame them. I'm not trying to say, oh, don't buy their stuff. They have great customer service, but as far as their product, I'm not so sure about the quality aspect. And I wish I could say differently. Especially since this is a local manufacturer, I really wish I could, you know, recommend them and go, hey, you know, this burgeoning, you know, up and coming manufacturer, I would recommend their ARs. Well, I don't know if I would, and here's one of the reasons. So if you see there, that shiny bit right here, I actually had to bevel that out myself. And this was one of the first issues I had with this gun. This dust cover, I could literally press here or here, the dust cover would flip open. I could tap the rifle, the dust cover would flip open. It would not retain the dust cover. It would hold it there, and if you barely touch the dust cover, like if you pressed right here, it would, you know, just very lightly, it would pop open. Literally, I can just pop it open with my finger. I mean, it's very, very little. I mean, you can watch me. I'm just going to come with my finger a little bit, yeah, and see it pops open. I can push here, and it pops open. I can push down here, and it pops open. This is still having problems. I can slap it, and it's coming open. I had a problem with this because if I set this up for coyote hunting or anything like that, now the dust cover is going to flip open. If I'm walking or I'm out in the elements, now crap's going to get in the gun. I really didn't like that. So when I went back my first time to, have them inspect the gun, I asked, well, I'm having issues with the dust cover flipping open, and I showed him, and the one of their guys there, he just said, well, that's how we do it. You know, he didn't say, well, maybe, you know, he didn't take my, you know, suggestions per se, and, you know, saying like, hey, you know, maybe you guys should get in there, you know, and open that up a bit so that ball detent actually snaps. You know, he didn't say that. He was just like, well, that's how we do things here, essentially. So I was a little disappointed by that, you know, especially since I'm a machinist myself, and I am very, very disappointed that I bought this and didn't look it over better from a machining standpoint. So, and I'll show that. So one of the things you may notice as we come in here, you might see a little step right there, and you would be indeed correct in seeing that step. It's that light line right there in the magazine well. And I will get a better view from this side. So those are the milling lines from their end mill coming in. And, you know, as small as of a place they are, I don't think they have a broaching setup per se, not a very complicated one at least. They might have something set up to do these corners here, but nothing to do this. And I'm a little, you know, sad by this, because this is actually something that's really easy to avoid in machining. You know, this looks like they just roughed it out and then didn't come in and clean it up. So that's very rough machining. I mean, it still takes magazines, don't get me wrong. It takes them just fine, but again, it just shows some of the little issues that spring up with this, because, you know, let's say I get another Stanag mag, and let's just say this mag well is too tight because they didn't come in and clean up the inside and they left those ridges. You know, that's a problem for me. So, and I haven't had any issues with that in this rifle, but, you know, when you can hear, you know, me scraping the inside of that mag well, and you can hear my finger. Yep, see right there? There's some more ridges. You can hear my finger rubbing on the inside. I see that as a problem, quality-wise. If I was selling this to someone this lower, I would not. If I was actually, you know, a firearms manufacturer, I would not have sent this out. That's just me. But according to their standards, this is okay. And again, I hate ragging on them, but this is just stuff I can't let go, because, you know, I'm not a super big reviewer, but I think this is important to try out some of these smaller companies and vet them, because I'd like them to be successful. I'd like them to make changes in their manufacturing. I'd like to help them so that they can actually have a manufacturing process that is successful, and then get a good customer base. Because when you have stuff like this come out, it disillusions a lot of people to the small guy, right? Because now they've tried this and they go, oh, well, I'm not going to try, you know, some no-name manufacturer anymore. I'm going to go with Palmetto State Armory or Delton, and those rifles are fine for the most part on the budget end. But, you know, now people are disillusioned because of something that one company did. And I think that's a problem. And here's something that is resulting from the small-time manufacturer. I mean, it doesn't look super impressive. It's very simple. It doesn't have very machining operations, but it's something that they could produce in-house, so they did. It adds a bit of a unique flair to the gun with this being on there. There's really no benefit intrinsically that I would see with this over other muzzle devices, such as a traditional A2 flash hider or any other like muzzle brake. And as you can see here, it's not even real directional, so it's more of just bursting out the muzzle energy, so it's not directing it in one particular direction or another. So again, local manufacturer, small time manufacturer, I like to see the effort, but this is a problem, and I'll kind of explain what problems I had with this here, moving into this next segment here. Your muzzle device screwed on the end, there is no crush washer to hold it on. That's another problem. So no crush washer, they just had threaded it on and then torqued it down. And you could see where they had basically rolled over the flats on their own muzzle brake and had rounded the edges, tightening it on. Yeah, I mean, they had really reefed it on. So I popped that off and I put on just a regular flash hider with a crush washer. I have this, turned the right way and everything. So moving down here, I'm gonna flip this around. All right, and I'm sure you can probably tell right now, but that upper and lower receiver are not square with each other. And I've only seen this on a couple rifles. I don't know if it's the forgings, how they're held, but consistently I went back in November to the November gun show, and they had rifles there that were pretty much new, coming off the line, and yeah, they still had this step, they still had the mag well. So I know, even though this is a year later, people are going to say, well, things could have changed. Nope, they're still doing the same stuff, which I'm a little disappointed with. So getting into this, you can see when I move my finger stops right here. Okay, which it's probably about a 30 or 40 thousandths ledge, something like that, as you get down to the end here. Which, okay, that's no problem. There's a little bit of hangover sometimes on the receivers, but usually it's consistent across the board, right? Your shelf is usually, okay, my upper receiver's hanging over a little bit. Well, let's get down to this side. Oh, what's that? Look at that. I can run my finger this way. Now watch when I try and run. Aha. So this whole upper receiver, in conjunction with this, is tilted. That's another problem. So, and I haven't really played around with it. I haven't really thrown on any other uppers or lowers between these, but something on these is not square. So for long distance, that might become a problem. I don't know. I don't think it should, but because I haven't had any issues out to the 100-yard range right now. So this is frustrating to me, because really stuff like this shouldn't be happening. And again, it's harder to emphasize on this side, but it's the same case. Your upper receiver now is shelved over here. Let me put that pin back in. But you know, I can see now now there's a shelf here. And then it opens up here, you come over and the shelf gets bigger. So these are just all little things I noticed with this. Also, this rifle does not come with a mag pull butt stock. I put that on there. I had bought a Strike Industry stock for one of my ARs, so here is the inside of the lower, which that's not a super big deal to me, the fact that it's unfinished down there in the bottom, but I still would be I wish they would have done something with it so it's just not bare metal. But I understand those are your interacting surfaces, so you need it to be clear of any powder coat, or in this case Cerakote. This is green Cerakote that they do. And that was one of the things that led me to this gun, was I could pick pretty much any Cerakote color I wanted from them, and it was about the same price as doing a M&P 15, a Delton, or a Palmetto State Armory rifle. But I could choose what color, and I was like, you know, it's local, I can choose my own color, where could I go wrong? Yeah, well, you see where I went wrong. So anyway, as far as this gun is concerned, it's actually fairly accurate. I was getting really good groupings with this. I don't know who makes their barrels for them, but it is a stainless steel barrel, but I am not sure who actually makes their barrels for them. So, because I know that they don't do that per se in-house, and I'm sorry about the really bad filming, but yeah, this is just, I would not recommend this rifle for anyone as is. So other people may have good results with this, I have not. So let's see. All right, last thing, should I swear, when this ejects rounds, it throws the brass. And when I say it throws it, I mean it's about like a 1 or 2 o'clock. This is extremely overgassed, and it's just, that to me is also a problem, because now I'm gonna have excessive parts wear on this. You know, this is just, to me, this isn't acceptable, you know. And then there's this little guy, which you can see that why did they do that? Why did they cut a notch in the front gas block? Is it to make it look cool? Why did they waste that time to come in and do another setup to cut just this, to cut these? Did they do that when they set up to drill the hole from this side on this gas block? I don't know, but it's honestly, I think it's kind of a waste, because now it's not capturing all the gas, which again, that leads me to my next point. It's not capturing all the gas, and it's throwing the brass at a 1 or 2 degree angle, or a 1 or 2 o'clock position, not angle. So yeah, I'll include the shooting footage and some of the pictures here at the end, but I just wanted to get this video out to you guys. So God bless. Happy New Year, Merry Christmas, and I'll see you guys later, all right? And final note, be praying for our nation right now, because not enough people are. And I know some of you may not be religious or believe that even God exists, but I would be praying right now. because the way things are going in this country, we will need God's help.